Years, the guitar world has been revolutionized by the implementation and very big adoption of the concept of guitar modelers, which stands for, well, basically speaking, we are using now digital recreation of amplifiers in the form of guitar pedals that are quite convenient, very powerful, and well, they are very good sounding. In my case, they have replaced the need for actually having access to a real amplifier on the stage. But I also found uses for those modelers here in the studio, because now I use them for many good things. One of them is, for example, monitoring my guitar when I'm tracking, or whenever I'm working with a different musician. I can use my pedal board based on TONEX, which is my weapon of choice when it comes to modelers, and I can use that to get a quick and efficient tone for him to use, while at the same time I am tracking the DI of his guitar into the box for later to be reamped, either using my amplifiers or even TONEX itself. When recording directly to an audio interface, there is a process known as conversion taking place, which is the act of transforming the incoming sounds into digital information or vice versa. The time it takes for it to be completed is known as latency, which is affected by many factors, including how complex our project to which we are recording to is, and it can become a problem when tracking, since latency delays the incoming or outgoing signals, taking them out of sync in relation to the project. The main benefit that you will find out of using this particular methodology is the fact that you are going to be able to monitor your performance latency free. Traditionally speaking, you can always go straight into your interface from your guitar and then load software such as TONEX on your digital audio workstation and use it for monitoring purposes. But it will come with the caveat of adding a little bit of extra latency to the performance, and depending on how your settings for recording are, the buffer size, you will have more or less latency. That plus the fact that when the session becomes more complex, let's say that you are adding more virtual instruments into the fray, the processing power of your computer is going to be compromised by those instruments, including the software you're using to monitor yourself. That's why having a pedal board such as the one that I developed, and I will share with you all of its secrets in this video, allows me to record in a much better way. As guitar players, we're always in the look for the best way to express to the world what we got in our heads, tone-wise, and that's why we're always in the look for better and new gear. In this case, I found the grail, if you want to call it like that, in TONEX. And TONEX, it's that good, and I like it so much that I actually developed two pedal boards based around TONEX itself. One is using TONEX, the big one that you have in front of you, but the other one is using TONEX 1, which is the tiny version. And believe it or not, the big pedal board is actually rocking the small pedal, the small TONEX, and my small pedal board is rocking the big TONEX. But there is a reason why, and you can find it somewhere on the screen because I actually shot a video on which I am explaining the whole thing and the whole difference between my two boards. The way that I devised this pedal board is, of course, using TONEX and its built-in effects, which happen to be quite good but extremely limited, and I added just a few extra pedals that will cover the spaces that TONEX is not that good at. Let me begin. The first pedal that I inserted in my chain, it's of course a Univibe, because I happen to be a sucker for those kind of effects. I happen to be a huge fan of Robin Trower's music, and it's an effect that I always want to have access to whenever I'm working on anything guitar related. From there onwards, the vast majority of effects, that's including delay, reverb, and the different plethora of modulation effects that TONEX has to offer, are all handled by TONEX itself, but I added an extra pedal at the end. The Univibe is hitting the front end of the TONEX system, but the back end, which would be like an after amplification effect, imagine it like a loop, is micropitch by Eventide. I happen to be a huge fan of the effect because I use it quite often here in the studio when mixing, but also it's a great sound design tool. And on guitar, it's excellent because it does many things. It goes from chorus to delay, and yes, it's the same pedal. If you want me to share some of my thoughts regarding the use of micropitch on guitar, let me know in the comments. And it will be hitting the final stage of my whole rig, which is the aux pedal by Universal Audio. This is a fantastic and extremely powerful cabinet simulation software inside of a box that it's very efficient. It has plenty of sounds, and the benefit of it is that you can modify it, and it's actually expecting you to modify the stock sounds that comes loaded with. And you might be saying, that's kind of redundant. Why would you get a cabinet simulator when TONEX is more than capable when it comes to loading IRs? That's a good question, and I'm glad you didn't ask. The reason why I decided to use one of these bad boys is because, first and foremost, I don't like having the same sound as everybody. And I consider that one of the biggest problems with modern rock music is that everybody's rocking the same freaking IRs from the same places. Don't get me wrong, they are fantastic sounding and they have developed their reputation for a good reason. The issue is that everybody's using them now, and the sound of rock music, particularly guitar, is being quite affected by this, basically speaking, non-existent diversity when it comes to tone. And I decided to get the aux pedal because it allows me, and it's expecting me actually, to modify the tone coming out of the speaker simulation. It comes with a plethora of different options when it comes to microphones, cabinets galore, and it comes loaded with a beautiful plate reverb that is part of the plugins that they develop, and the powerful and very good sounding 1176 compressor that it's also there just for you to add the final touch of refinement to the sound of your guitar. And also has a very functional and cool sounding modulation effect that can be used also as a delay. It's kind of similar to the micro pitch. By the way, my name is Adam, and if this is your first time in the channel, I welcome you because in here I show you every single thing I do in order to create, write, produce, and of course perform my music live, because I know that making a living as a musician and music producer is not a dream. It's a possibility, and if I can do it, of course you can do it. With that being said, let's continue. So as you can see, the setup is quite capable of producing sounds, and you have heard some of those examples so far. But one extra key, and the one that controls the entirety of this operation, is this disaster area design MIDI controller, which is basically speaking a computer that is controlling everything that is related to MIDI and expression on the entire rig. Let me explain. This device is controlling everything MIDI related in this board, from switching presets on both units or independently from each other to actually activating or deactivating the built-in effects on TONEX, because actually you can control and turn on those effects independently or outside of the preset that you have loaded on your TONEX through the use of MIDI. It's very cool and it's actually very easy to do. Another thing that I did is actually hooking up an expression pedal to the expression input, or the multi-jack that as is known on the disaster area design. And through that, I am sending expression information to my TONEX, but it could also allow me to send that expression information to my micro pitch if I wish. So the whole point of this is having access to a very versatile monitoring rig while retaining a huge level of quality of sound. Coming back to the aux pedal, an extra reason why I got it, it's because you can save up to 6 different presets that are accessible through the use of the pedal itself. And that allows me to change the same tone. Let's say that I got a very good sounding Marshall-based tone on TONEX, but I would like to hear how it would sound in a different size speaker. I can simply just flip it to a different preset on my aux, and I can get that sound immediately. That's super efficient. And how about bass, you might be asking? When it comes to bass, this is also badass, because usually when you're recording bass, you usually get the amplifier plus a DI. The aux box allows you to have one of the different outputs of the aux box as the DI, while the other one could be the cabinet. That's excellent. But isn't the aux sending a stereo signal? Yes and no, because it depends on how you set that particular preset. In the case of the bass, I am using it as a mono signal, as I would if I were to be tracking bass in real life. But in other setups, the ones that I use for live shows, I actually have it as a stereo pair. Both of them pan to the right and the left, creating this stereo and wide sounding guitar tone. So good. And one more thing, I am using the Canvas box from Walrus Audio as my main DI. Because even though the output of the pedals are quite good, they are not necessarily speaking designed to be used on a live stage due to the cable runs that you usually have to deal with. That's when a proper DI comes in. And it's basically a DI designed to handle the signal coming out of modelers. And I gotta tell you, it's fantastic. I have used it a few times on the stage and no problem whatsoever. It comes with a very good sounding ground loop, which actually removes any form of potential noises that you could get even here on the studio, because when you connect your rig into the computer, there might be some form of ground loop that happens and you can kill it off right away, making the whole recording and tracking sessions excellent and noise-free, and the same applies to live shows. So there you have it. This board has been a super godsend in this studio because it has allowed me to focus on the music rather than the technicalities, because having access to tones that make sense, not only for guitar but for bass, it's a huge game changer here. And also having access to providing to any of the artists that I work with, to tones that could benefit or inspire them to write the piece that they are working on at that point, super quickly and non-obtrusively, it's excellent. So I totally recommend you to explore something similar to this. If you got any question, let me know in the comment section down below. And of course, if you want to support this channel, the best way to do it is by subscribing, leaving a like, ringing the bell, and doing the whole video platform things that you have to do in order to keep us going. But also you can do it by listening to Apple Music or Spotify and following us on social media such as Instagram and X, because that's the best way for you to get in touch with us in a much more personal basis. With that being said, the only thing left to be reminded is that you should never let anybody tell you what to dream about. And remember that I'll see ya. See ya.